God, sovereign of the universe, who has chosen faithful prophets to speak words of truth. Praise to you, Adonai, for the revelation of Torah, for your servant Moses, for your people Israel, and for prophets of truth and righteousness. I greatly rejoice in the Eternal. My whole being exults in my God, who has clothed me in triumph and robed me in victory, as a bridegroom whose head is adorned, as a bride bedecks herself in her finery. For as the earth brings forth its blossoms, as gardens spring into flower, so the Eternal will make a glorious victory spring up before all the nations. For Zion's sake I will not be silent. For Jerusalem's sake I will not be still, till her victory shines forth like a flame, and her triumph like a blazing torch. Nations shall see your deliverance, every ruler shall see your glory. And you shall be called by a new name, a name conferred by the Eternal. You shall be a crown of beauty in the hand of the Eternal, a royal diadem in the palm of your God. No more shall you be called forsaken, no more shall your land be called abandoned. For your name shall be, my delight is in her, and your land shall be married, because God delights in you, and your land shall be married.
As a young man marries a young woman, so will your Creator marry you. And as a bridegroom rejoices in his bride, so your God will rejoice in you. Upon your walls, O Jerusalem, I have placed sentries. They shall not be silent day or night. They shall not announce the Eternal and never rest. But neither does God rest, until Jerusalem is restored, until God makes Jerusalem the praise of all the earth. The Eternal swears with all divine power and strength. Never again shall I give your new grain to be food for your enemies. Never shall strangers drink your new wine, for which you have labored. But those who harvest it shall eat it and praise the Eternal. Those who gather it in shall drink in my sacred courts. Pass through the gates. Clear a road for the people. Build up the highway. Clear out the stones. Put a sign above the peoples for all to see. Behold, the Eternal has proclaimed to the ends of the earth. Tell fair Zion, your deliverance is coming, bringing divine reward and recompense from on high. They, Israel, shall be called the holy people, the redeemed of God, and you shall be called sought out, a city not forsaken. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, sor kol ha'alamim, tzadik b'chol hadarot, hayel ha'ne'eman, ha'omer v'oseh, hamdaber u'kayem, shekol debara emet b'tzedek, al haTorah, ve'al havodah, ve'al hanviv, ve'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh, shenatata lanu, Adonai Eloheinu, likdushav v'nechai, v'chavod v'tifaret al hakol, Adonai Eloheinu, umrachnu modim lach, umrachim otecha, v'teprashim chai b'ficho chai, tamid le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh ha'shabbat. Amen. Praise to you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, rock of all creation, righteous one of all generations, the faithful God whose word is deed, and whose every command is just and true. For the Torah, for the privilege of worship, for the prophets, and for this Shabbat that you, Adonai our God, have given us, for your holiness and rest, for honor and glory, we thank and bless you. May your name be blessed forever by every living being. Praise to you, Adonai, for Sabbath and its holiness.
The English translation of my Torah portion begins with this phrase, "Let us all stand." Now, don't worry, I'm not going to make you stand right now, but I would like to talk about what the phrase means to me, both literally and symbolically. We physically stand for things like the Pledge of Allegiance and the National Anthem when we want to honor America. When we want to honor the homeland, Israel, we sing the Hatikvah, which means the hope. As we already did, we stood for the Baruch Hu, the call to worship, and any other important prayers in a Hebrew service or other religious services. We stand to honor different people like President Barack Obama, the leader of our country. We stand at funerals when we want to honor someone who passed away. We stand up and clap when someone or some people accomplish something really good, like winning a cross-country first place trophy. Last but definitely not least, we stand for excitement. For example, when the New Orleans Pelicans are beating the Chicago Bulls, cough cough, Uncle Billy and Aunt Ray Kay, 95-94 with 36 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Or when the New Orleans Saints score a touchdown on the Green Bay Packers, Aunt Meg, for the win. But more importantly, there are things we stand up for figuratively or symbolically. I know all of us here stand for world peace, especially between Israel and Hamas, where they fought a 50-day war in which kids think missiles shot into Israel is a no big deal, because it happens regularly, just like how we brush our teeth every day. In big cities like New Orleans, we stand for things like sheltering the homeless and feeding the hungry. My family and I have a tradition after Thanksgiving dinner in which we go to where homeless people gather and we give out our plates of food, and they really appreciate it. I personally stood up for something recently. I completed the hashtag ALS Ice Bucket Challenge, not once, but 4 times. Well, 5 times if you count the one where Julian poured the ice water on me and the camera wasn't even recording. One of those challenges was from Rabbi Cohen, so thanks for the hypothermia, Rabbi. Seriously though, it felt good to help promote awareness of such a terrible disease. One of the victims of ALS is Steve Gleason, the former New Orleans Saints special teams player who is known for blocking a punt to help beat the Atlanta Falcons during the first game back in the Superdome since Hurricane Katrina. It is one of the most memorable moments in Saints history. The rest of my Torah passage tells about the story about Moses leading the Israelites to the Promised Land. But does anybody know why Moses didn't make it to the finish line? The Torah tells the story about how God instructed Moses to wait patiently by a rock to wait for water for his desperately thirsty people. But instead of being patient, Moses hit the rock with his staff in frustration. Water burst out of the rock. Even though it was good for the people, Moses was not allowed to go into Israel because he disobeyed God's command. But even though Moses was penalized, he remained a great leader by choosing the next group of leaders to complete the journey. This relates to my life because as I turn 13, I am learning that I can't depend on my parents for everything. I have to become a leader for myself, and being a leader requires patience, hard work, and concern for others. I already have learned from playing sports that being a leader is easy when you're winning, but the true test of leadership is standing up when things aren't going so well, encouraging teammates even when they make mistakes, and leading by example. As Hans F. Hansen once said, "It takes nothing to stand with the crowd, it takes everything to stand alone." After going through my bar mitzvah experience, I know I will handle anything that comes my way. Of course, I wouldn't be up here if it wasn't for the people and support for a lot of people. So in conclusion, I'd like to thank my mom for making delicious meals all the time and helping me with everything. I'd like to thank my dad for helping me grow up from a boy to a man and playing sports with me all the time. Thanks to my brother Eli, snoring all the time every night, and generally being a cool younger brother who isn't annoying most of the time. I'd like to thank Jackie, my sister, for letting me watch SportsCenter in the mornings and being so artistic and unique. Shout out to my home dog who couldn't make it here today because if he came, he would be jumping on everyone. If you've been to my house, you know I'm talking about my dog Gumbo, who we call Bo. A huge thanks to all my family out of town from Oregon, Chicago, Milwaukee, Florida, and many parts of California for letting me share one of the most important days of my life with you. Shout out to all my friends for making my life super awesome, great, and extremely memorable and funny. A special thanks to my friends from Henry Jacobs Camp, Eric, Jake, and Zach, all of whom came from Baton Rouge and parts of Mississippi. Even though I see them for only 3.5 weeks a year during the summer, they're still some of my best friends. Another thanks to Rabbi Cohen, Kendra Coleman, Miss Ann, and Ethan. Without them, I would know nothing about Hebrew, and I probably wouldn't be standing here today. And last but not least, a ginormous thanks to one of my best friends since we were 4, Henry Nassiter. Even though he lives in Senegal, a country in West Africa, we have been best friends, even though he left in 2nd grade. He has shared so many memories, including the time when he and I and Julian tried to sneak into his own house. Long story. So special thanks to Henry on this little iPad over here, who is currently on Skype. So another thanks to Skype. Just kidding. But seriously, thank you to everyone who is here today, because at one point in my life, you have made my 13 years as a kid extremely memorable. Thank you.
I would like to thank all the special people who have helped me get here today. Some of you have traveled from far away. I will start with my family for staying quiet while I study, encouraging me in my work, and for being patient during the long nights of sports followed by homework, followed by Hebrew and Bar Mitzvah study. Thank you, Canna Coleman, for helping me with Hebrew when I needed it, and only rewinding the Tigers walk-off a million times. I want to thank Rabbi Cohen for helping plan all the services and for your guidance and honesty about how well I'm doing. A special thanks to Ethan for being a really great Hebrew tutor and letting me and Max have snack during the middle of Hebrew lesson and giving this bar mitzvah a new meaning. Thank you to all of the students from Temple Sinai's midweek Hebrew school for coming every Wednesday and learning Hebrew with me. Parsha Nitzavim, my Torah portion, takes place near the end of the books of Moses, just as we are near the end of the Jewish calendar, and just as I am near the end of my childhood before becoming a bar mitzvah. My reading starts with Moses and all of his people standing before God. Moses tells his people to follow God's commandments or rules because he is leaving to go to heaven, and he wants every person to follow the rules even when he is gone, so that they are not punished poorly. This section is about Moses' transition from earth to heaven. He is leaving all of his knowledge about his faith in God and his practices with his people, and wants them to take up this responsibility as leaders and enter into a covenant with God. It is also about Moses as the leader of his people. For me, this is part of what being a bar mitzvah means. As a bar mitzvah, I will have more responsibility and work to become more of a leader. In the Jewish tradition, this time in my life is a transition to adulthood. And while I won't have all the responsibilities of an adult, this will mark the beginning of a huge transition. As I get older, I will need to be more responsible for things such as work, being a good friend, a better member of my family, and also a contributing member of my community. At the beginning of Nitzavim, everyone, the old, the young, the men, the women, are all in front of God showing their respect. Respect for others is part of being mature. Some of the people I have great respect for are professional athletes for the hard practice and dedication to the game, my dad for converting into a Jew recently. I respect Canna Coleman's son for helping protect Israel during a difficult time. I also have a great respect for people with different religious beliefs, just like many of the families here today. This year, I have been to 5 bar mitzvahs, and all of the people were great. There are 2 of them here today, actually, and I learned a lot from everyone that I went to, and there were different practices in all of them. But what they all had in common were they all had the same prayers and meaning. Even though each had a different Torah portion, they were all from the Torah, also all over America, as well as in other countries, all temples are connected. Just as temples around the world are similar and connected, wherever you are in the world, the rules of baseball are the same. Even if kids learn to play in a different language or had different equipment, they all share the same rules, just like temples share the same faith in God. In 2009, it was Super Bowl 49, and the Colts were driving down the field and about to tie the game. Someone had to step up and take responsibility to save the game.
You're getting faster and faster and faster. Am I right? Slow it down because we want to hear every glorious word that you wrote. Okay? Just a tad. Okay? Tad.
Okay. Great. Okay, wait. Where was I? Oh, there it is. Okay. Tracy Porter stepped up and had a pick to seal the game. Hopefully, my responsibility will end up in a Super Bowl ring or a World Series ring. That would be great, especially if I got to beat the Tigers, Cantor, or the Red Sox, Trey, in the American League Championship Series, and then the Mets in the World Series. For my birthday, my mom brought me to New York while my sister Rosalie and my dad stayed behind. My Aunt Bonnie and Uncle Richard made room for us to stay with limited Brooklyn-style space, and we did lots of super fun things. We went to a Yankees game. We also went to Coney Island and stayed until 2 in the morning. During this trip, I had a lot of responsibility. I was able to do a lot more stuff on my own. My mom knew I was old enough to be around a lot of people and going places without getting hurt. This was a major learning experience because I had to know what to do and not to be afraid. Becoming a bar mitzvah helps me to reflect on dedication, responsibility, transition, leadership, respect, and family. They are just some of the many things being a bar mitzvah is about. I will not only be reflecting on these aspects, I will be practicing and building on these aspects. That's it.
That's it. Jillian and Max, as the cantor told me just yesterday, the thing we always remember about the two of you is that as you journey from the front door on Palmer down toward our offices after a whole busy day of school, there's always a sense of joy on your faces and not gloom. There's a smile permanently on your faces. You bring with you a sense of celebration, of happiness, of delight, of openness, of a welcome, not only of yourself to what you're doing, but a welcome to anybody with whom you come into contact. And what a wonderful, unforgettable event this is, that the two of you, for the rest of your lives, will always remember, wherever you go in life, that you were the two ends of this morning's Torah reading, that you stood to become, each of you, a bar mitzvah, a son of the commandment, shoulder to shoulder, in friendship and in unfailing cooperation. Never, ever with any sense of competition, but always in a sense of devotion in the highest way to one another. And your families, too, in working together, have been such an inspiration for us all. I have to say that your Torah portion is not only read today on this Sabbath, but also it's read always on the morning of the holiest day in the Jewish year, Yom Kippur. So every time for the rest of your life when you're in synagogue on Yom Kippur, you will hear someone else struggling to read your portion. And you will know for a fact that you did it magnificently. It's a portion also worthy of this occasion. Because, as you pointed out first, it's a portion that talks as if we're all standing. And as Jews, we're always standing not just in a position, but we stand for something. Sometimes we stand with people. Sometimes we stand against certain things. But we're standing, we're not failing to pay attention. It's that covenant between ourselves as Jews and God, which is discussed in your portion and which is so central. We have, as you read, Atem Natzivim Hayom, we're all standing this day, all of us, the heads, the big shots, as you point out, to the little people. And then you point out, well, what are we standing for, as you said in your speech? What are we standing for? What does it matter? And you pointed out that there's a law, there are certain qualities, that this law is not across the ocean, that we have to send someone over there, it's not up in space to get it, it's close, it's as close as in your mouth and in your heart, is what you read. It's possible, you can get it. And what is it? There are laws that we all obey. And there are laws that whether you're a little person who no one knows or you're a famous NFL player, it doesn't matter. But there's certain ways of conduct that we all embrace as civilized people, and we behave in ways that are respectful of our traditions and of the fact that we are all of us children of God, and that we have a duty to help to push our world toward improvement, whatever we can do to make someone else's life better and to live in the quality that our tradition calls us to live. That's what we do. Now, you guys are growing. You're growing so much. This is the last Sabbath of the year, but it's the first Sabbath of your young manhood. With this day, you jettison childhood in a lot of ways behind. As Julian, you pointed out, there are going to be grown-up decisions and new things. People are going to turn to you, both of you, and say, well, instead of telling you what to do, more and more they're going to say, what do you think? What would you like to do? Now, I sat in the back here and I watched your feet as you were moving. You know, I've never seen such big shoes in my life as you guys have. So you are really, really growing, and it delights us that you're growing inside too. Your hearts and your minds and your sensitivity. So we couldn't be more delighted. You both have made us so proud. Your parents in a few minutes will have an opportunity to share their utter delight. They were so moved last night as the talit was placed on your shoulders, and I saw them as you first did at the Ahavka last night. They were weeping with joy and with pride. So let us ask God's blessings upon you now on this so important day, this Shabbat Nitzavim, where you have become B'nai Mitzvah. It is our great pleasure to ask God's blessings upon you now in the words of the ancient priestly benediction. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May the Lord bless you and keep you, Julian and Max. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chunecha. May the Lord cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you, Max and Julian. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May the Lord lift up his countenance unto you and give you peace, a long, healthy, happy, and useful life. Amen. Amen. So talk to you. So please. So let me introduce you. It is my great pleasure to introduce Julian Nathaniel Box, named Shimshon after Samson for his courage, Ben Yisrael, and Oscar Max Daniel Perlstein, named Jonah Shemuel Ben Yisrael. They, along with their generation, are charged with the responsibility and with the delight of helping to let their generation become the first generation to realize greater justice, greater peace, and greater love in this world that their elders find so daunting and often so confusing. But with their spirits, as they have shown us on this morning, they cannot but succeed. And so we pray as well. Now I know that our president, Sheila Gold, has some special words to share with you on behalf of our congregation and the Jewish Endowment Foundation. And her husband, the other half of the Golds, is here to represent the brotherhood and sisterhood, I believe, this morning. And then your folks have some, of course, very special words to share with you. Is Lillian here? Lillian is here. Ah, yes. Good. So Lillian and Tim, you can come up here if you want, so you're ready.
So Julian and Max, Mazel Tov, congratulations. I know that your parents and your family are very proud of you, but you should know that your Temple Sinai family is very proud of you as well. So we have a couple things that we want to give to you, and I'm going to make sure that everybody gets the right thing, but I'm going to show you. We have a certificate for each of you all that you can put with all of the goodies that you're gathering today, all of your memories and mementos, just to let you know it's all signed by everybody, but we want you all to know how proud we are of you. And additionally, sort of the message of today that we want to share with you is that your study of Judaism doesn't stop here. This is just sort of the beginning, and we hope that there's a continuation of your journey through a Jewish life. And part of that journey, we hope, will be to visit Israel. So one of the things that we give to all bar and bat mitzvahs is a $250 gift certificate towards a trip to Israel, which we hope that you all will certainly do. It's a nifty trip, and being Jacob's campers, you might notice that some of your friends from Jacob's camp will go on the same trip, and hopefully this will help make that a little bit easier. You all have also chosen to open up B'nai Maimonides funds at the Jewish Endowment Foundation. So each of you all will receive a tzedakah box, and we're honored to be able to make this special presentation to you all on behalf of the Jewish Endowment Foundation of Louisiana. You've wisely chosen to establish your B'nai Maimonides funds. This special fund will allow you to make annual charitable gifts from you all through your personal philanthropic funds. By opening this fund, you continue our great tradition of tzedakah. This is a special gift from us to you, from the Jewish Endowment Foundation, to mark your adult decision to continue tzedakah. Congratulations to you all. And Julian, this is yours. Max, that's yours. And then the sisterhood can come up. That's yours.
Good job, guys. You did a fantastic job. You both did, and all you've got left now are party and presents. So that's the good news. You can relax, take a deep breath. You guys are now adults in the Jewish religion. You started as children. You've learned the Torah. You've learned the stories in it, and you've studied. Now, as adults, you're going to have to start forming opinions about the Torah. So the Brotherhood and Sisterhood have for each of you a commentary on the Torah that you guys can start looking at. There's one for each of you. Yes, another heavy book. And then we also, because you are now adults, for your very first Passover Seder, you guys can show up that a little bit, take charge. And we've got Passover Haggadahs for you guys to each take forward as you start your own Jewish home someday. Thank you very much. Congratulations, hubbies. All right, thanks, guys. Good job.
Let me just say a few words. Today, I think of family. Especially Julian's family that I know so well. My husband and his, I guess it would be great uncle, were best friends. I do know the Goldblum family pretty well, and I hope that I will learn to know the Pearlstein Fox family as well. My congratulations from myself personally and sisterhood as you go through life and establish your own Jewish homes and families.
Thank you everyone for coming here today to help us celebrate Julian become a bar mitzvah. We are honored to look out at this room filled with love and support. This really helps to guide us and inspire us during this amazing and meaningful time. Julian, this has been a wonderful responsibility you have upheld. It has been challenging, time-consuming, sometimes, in the words of your sister, not fun. But I also perceive it has given you a purpose and has kept you involved in something bigger than yourself, and you got that. And it made this challenge worth it and meaningful to you. As a bar mitzvah, I hope that when you make decisions, small and large, you will do this thoughtfully. I hope that you will acquire independence by taking small steps in the beginning, as you have, and then as the steps become bigger, you continue to be thoughtful as you navigate adulthood. And I hope that you will be inclusive and compassionate to your friends and family, as well as to those you don't know. I will continue to instill these actions and values in you. If you can always try to remember the love that met you when you were born and that continues to grow and become a part of you, beginning with your father and me, from your sister Rosalie, from your grandparents, your aunts and uncles, cousins, friends, and those you do not know yet, these actions and values will evolve and grow. I will continue to help you lead a thoughtful life and to help you towards becoming an independent man. But you know that's not easy for a mother to do. This may be impossible, but I'm going to try, I promise.
Well, I'm a very proud and happy father and husband today. I have 2 wonderful children and the most special and loving wife. And I look out here and I see the most amazing group of family and friends. Thank you all for coming and sharing this special occasion with us. Julian, you make me very proud today. You've given me and your mom more joy in life than either of us could have imagined. I remember when you were very little, I would think being a parent is harder than I anticipated. It was fun work, but with you, activity was just nonstop. It was go, go, go. I'm reminded when a friend of mine from work offered his high schooler as a babysitter. You must have been around 3 at the time, and I said, sure, that sounds great. When Robin and I got home from our date, there was my friend. Apparently his high schooler needed some unexpected help with the babysitting. Thank goodness you slowed down some now. Your energy, your sensitivity, your ability to have fun doing whatever is put in front of you has made my life better and given me such pleasure words cannot express. You have been working and studying towards today for 3 years. I've never heard you complain or indicate in any way your Hebrew study was difficult or anything less than enjoyable. I admire you for that. And I respect you for being able to take on this responsibility with such a good attitude. Robin and I also give credit to your wonderful teachers, Hannah Coleman, Rabbi Cohn, and in the last year leading up to today, Ethan Samuels. Thank you, Cantor, Rabbi, and Ethan, for the excellent environment that you have created for learning and building a spiritual foundation for our children and our families. Julian, I'm so happy and proud to be here and share this day with you and share in the Jewish faith with you. We will always be able to look on this day as a very special day in our family's life. As you go forward into adulthood, I hope that you take to heart the values that we extol inside these walls and in these services and traditions. I wish you compassion for your fellow humans, a love for all of creation, respect for family, study for wisdom, and hard work for the rewards of accomplishment. I hope that you lead a long, fulfilling life and are able to use all of the gifts that you have been given and feel appreciated for those that you give. The past 13 years of my life have been golden, and may all the years of life as the family together be as golden.
Hard act to follow. So I also want to echo all the thanks for all the family members and friends that have come in from far and close. And thank you to Rabbi Cohn, Cantor Coleman,
Ethan, the sisterhood, brotherhood, and the whole congregation, thank you so much. And now Max. So Max, for nearly 13 years, I've had the honor of being your mom. So your dad and I waited for a really long time to have kids, as you might have known. And believe me, it was really worth the wait. Every day I learned something new from you, including very detailed sports statistics, how to operate the latest technology, and what's hot and what's not in pop culture. So thank you for keeping me fresh. But mostly, what I'm learning most from you is what a treasure you really are. I was trying to pin down some words to describe you. Because I'm an epidemiologist, a scientist, I had to take a survey. So I asked different people, and the words that came to their minds were smart, social, athletic, empathetic, funny, cool, that came from Eli, important, that came from Jackie, and sparkly, that came from your Aunt Meg. You're going to have to ask her to explain that one. Except, I think I know what she meant, because when you learned to walk, you went from crawling to running. There was no walking. So you're sparkly and you're upbeat. Anyway, I'm so proud of you. You've worked very hard to learn Hebrew, to learn all about your Jewish faith, and you're teaching me along the way. Thank you. And the discipline has paid off. You and your brother from another mother, Julian. Very proud of you, Julian. And I want to also thank Julian's parents for allowing us to share this with them, because I wouldn't have known what to do without them, so I'm really happy about that. Anyway, you've been guided by all these wonderful mentors, Cantor Coleman, Ethan, Rabbi, and we've worked very hard for the last 3 years for this day. So today you are a bar mitzvah. That status doesn't mean that you just learned some Hebrew and now you got a big party. With it comes some big responsibilities, as we've been talking about today. I'm looking forward to continue watching you grow, decide your path in life, make your contribution to society, and I know with all my heart that you're bound for great things, and you will always strive to do the right thing, and be kind to all, and make a great impact in this world. And for this, I'm very grateful for the blessing that is you, Max.
All right. Those were a lot of sacred words and great speeches, and I think that makes me the last person standing between you and food. But I know you'll indulge me. I just got 2 bar mitzvahs for the price of 1 here. Let me just start by adding my sincere thanks to Rabbi Kung, Cantor Coleman, Ellen Ray, and everybody who helped make this possible. I want to especially thank everyone who came out today. It's so great to see our community, friends, family, and especially those families from out of town. I really never anticipated that we would see so many travel, so many miles to be here. I really thought that kind of turnout was reserved for weddings. Then I remembered the words of a good friend of mine. He said, marriage is huge, it's profound, it's a huge milestone. It's something that will happen only 2-3 times in your whole life. But obviously you only turn 13 once, and I guess having a bar mitzvah is